Welcome to the podcast,
great.
Myles.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts?
This is so much nicer than I thought it was gonna be.
Really?
Yeah.
What were your expectations?
I don't know. You just, like I said, you said it so casually.
Like, hey, just come on my podcast.
Yeah, like you didn't. Yeah, like I don't know. Like now I'm like, this is legit. Like I just want to. If I had the same thing, and maybe I should give myself more credit, but I'm like, I couldn't just let anybody in here. There's nice stuff in here. Do you know what I mean? I'd be like, no, not just anybody's coming to fuck the stigma. This is a nice house. It's a nice place. Nice people live here. Like,
Yeah.
And you're just so like calm about it that I was like,
I just really wanted you to come on the podcast. We have mutual friends, and she was like, you should totally have Myles on the podcast. And I was like,
I'm glad she
you know what?
recommended
Yeah, I'll think
me.
about it. I was like, yeah, let me get his number. He's a cool guy. And then I fell in love with, honestly, Myles' TikToks. And that's where his personality is like really there. And I was like, I need to have him on.
No, I'm really happy I'm getting to do this. Like before I was like a little nervous because I didn't know what we were going to talk about and I didn't know how it was going to go. But now I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the main things, like, I mean, when we first met, we kind of talked a lot about sexuality and we kind of felt like, I think in similar ways about it.
Yeah.
So what's your sexuality? You said you don't, I think, wait.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
I think you said you don't even like to label it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm going to say where I'm currently at.
Okay.
But I'll say this too. I think since coming out, I didn't know it'd be a process that continued to evolve. So
that's true.
I literally thought I would like come out and I never thought I was going to be gay. How embarrassing. Yeah, you heard it here first. I never thought I was going to be gay.
Wow.
So, and then when I thought I was like, oh, it's going to go away. Give it time.
Really?
I was like, it really is so embarrassing because I truly was like, I'm gonna pray it away. And I knew other people would try to pray it away, but I was like, you're not praying the way I'm praying, babe. Like I was like, I'm talking to the Father. Like I was like, I'm not joking. Like this isn't like me like, I don't really want to be gay. I was like, no, I won't be. Like I was like, it wasn't like there was no world in my mind where like I came out. I was like, this is going to go away and it's going to be a beautiful testimony. And I can't wait to share with everyone how it's
you
gone.
can pray away your gayness.
Yeah.
So I think we talked about this as well. You grew up Christian.
Yes.
Do you still identify as a Christian?
Yes. I know. No. Yeah. No. And I was like, yes, no. And yes.
Is that the right way to say it? Do you still identify as a Christian?
Do you still identify? How do you identify? Non-denominational.
Do you still, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're still a Christian.
I am. And my faith has like changed and evolved as well. I think it had to. But because I never thought I was going to be gay and I thought I was going to pray it away, when I realized that it wasn't going to go away. And
did you realize? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
How did you realize it wasn't going to go away?
It grew.
Oh.
I was like, hey, this is manageable. Like my prayer, I was like, it's not going away, but I can keep this manageable. And then like 22, 23, it became like all consuming. Because I was like, I can't. And I tried to explain this to my friends once, but I was like, I can't. It's something I'm constantly thinking about because attraction happens in a moment. So I see a guy, I think he's cute, and I'm like, I don't need to go there. And so I'm just like constant denial in the smallest of ways. And if something even feels like it's close to being gay, denial. So I'm just like,
you're like, no, stop.
Yeah, in so many aspects of my mind.
Thought process. Mm-hmm. Around what age were you when you were trying to pray it away?
I think it was middle school.
Well,
because everybody was like, you're gay.
That's the age. That's the age where people are telling you your sexuality.
Oh my God. One guy said, hey, you don't know this yet, but you're gay and you're going to realize it. Now, I hate that he was right. God, I'm so mad at him. Why would you say that to me?
That's so true.
Because he's absolutely correct. But when I was younger, I was like, how dare you?
Literally.
Yeah. But I wouldn't say his name. Datch
Like, literally, people in 6th grade. I remember my best friend in 6th grade. He was gay. I mean, like, and I knew but didn't know at the same time. It was just like I didn't question it. Like I wasn't like, he's gay. It was just like, I knew he was a feminine man and he was different.
Okay.
But I was like, wow, I really like him. I'm drawn to him. Like, I really want to be his best friend. And I remember, like, even when we're walking through the hallway, like, class exchanges, people are being like, dude, your voice, like, you're gay.
Yeah.
I can tell by the way you talk or something.
And they love to call it out.
I'm like, whoa, like, what is that about?
But it's also, they didn't say it though. It's not like people were saying like, hey, you're gay. They were like, you're gay. Like, it was like the nastiest thing I could be. It was like, oops, sorry, bud. You got it. Yeah, he's got it. Yeah. When did you realize, like, when did you realize?
It was the summer between 7th grade and 8th grade.
Really?
That's when I was like, whoa.
Like, you saw, like, what, like, not, you don't have to, whatever you want to, yeah, I'm like, do you see a girl and you're like, yeah, this is different. Like, what made it really click? Before you're like, they're pretty. Yeah, of course. Girls are gorgeous. And then you were like, they're a little more than gorgeous.
I love the way you asked the question. It was getting hot.
Yeah.
It's getting hot in here.
I know, we're opening up.
It really clicked this is going to sound funny and I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think I've only told like 2 people this in my whole life.
Oh my God.
I'm going to air it out. It was when I watched Orange is the New Black. That's when I knew. I was like, whoa.
No. I'm sorry, that's such a rude awakening because it's just, you dove in.
So then I look back at my history of my relationships, friendships with girls growing up. And I'm like, there was always this like need for more when it was a friendship with a girl. Like, I remember specifically this girl in 6th grade. Like, I just wanted all of her attention.
Yeah.
Like, it just hit different.
Yes.
Like, I would always just look at her, like, be fond of her, like, but I didn't understand that was me liking a girl. So yeah, it happened when I watched Orange is the New Black, and then I was like, wow, this kind of adds up. And then
you were like, I am gay, or you were like, okay, so I'm attracted to women.
I registered it as I'm attracted to women.
Okay, cool.
And then I was obviously wanted to immediately put a label on it. I'm bisexual. You know, like, okay. That's what I am. I'm bisexual. So, and then I remember in 8th grade, like, that's when like my first like full girl crush, that's when it was. Also, like, back to what we were talking about before, like, it's crazy that people are just calling us our sexuality.
I know.
First of all, why the fuck do you care? And why do you have to just, like, I haven't even figured it out yet.
No, yeah.
And you're telling me. And of course, as you said, they were saying it like in a rude way. Like, you're fucking gay.
Right.
And
yeah.
So is that like kind of why you wanted to pray it away initially? Because there was
No. I just knew that biblically it was wrong.
Oh.
Like, I already knew biblically it was wrong, which is so weird because at the time, despite how much I didn't want to be, I had no problem with others being it. And I was like, always... It was almost like, I was like, I actually think there's nothing wrong with it, but it just can't be real for me. I was like, it just couldn't be.
Yeah.
I was like, they could have the grace to live that way, but I truly just don't have it, which was so interesting as a whole. I don't know what that was about.
To bring the question back to you, how did you know? What was that moment for you?
I was a promiscuous kid, which is weird. Like, I don't know what happened, but I was like at maybe like 5, 6. I just played around inappropriately with a lot of kids, boys and girls. Didn't think anything about it at the time, and I was also like constantly chosen to be played with that way by other kids.
This is so fucking real.
Yeah.
Because I had similar experiences, and
yeah.
I was more of I wasn't the initiator.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, but I was like, but it's also tough because it would start with, you know, at a young age, you're watching adult films, not like porn, but you're watching like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and I see Brad Pitt and Angelina rolling around, and I'm like, I'm gonna do that with my friends. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, because you watch it and then you're like, what is that like? And then you play, and because kids, you're like in a state of discovery.
Yeah.
You don't
Curiosity.
know. Yeah, you're just like, what's what? And then it's just mirroring. It's constant mirroring. We mirror our parents. We just like mirror whatever we see. And so I think the kids I was around were all in the same place, and it was kind of a thing. And then I think around like maybe 8 or 9, that calmed down. But then I was introduced to pornography at like middle school time.
Yeah.
And that was when then I wanted to find out for myself. Everyone was calling me gay, and I was like, well, there's only one way to find out. I'll prove you wrong. And then I was like, what? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
This is weird.
And also the middle school environment. You're hitting puberty. Things are happening.
I feel so bad.
Your body is changing. People are having crushes.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, I feel like a lot of the discovery for people can be in middle school, but there's also people who like just know even when they're like, kids. I can't comprehend because I didn't have that experience.
No, I didn't either. But I was also like, which makes more sense now, but when I was like 6 as well, 6'5", with my cousins, so weird. We would play certain games. We'd like, you just like make up a story and everyone's a superhero, whatever. I was always a girl. I was always the girl.
Why do you think that is? Like you don't want to be a girl now.
No, but I think the feminine. It was the feminine. It was the submissive. It was the like. If someone was gonna be saved, I wanted to be saved. I want to be the princess, but I also wanted to still kick ass. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I was like Power Ranger. I was like yellow one all the way. Like I was like I just always video games. Always the girl. Yeah. Always the girl fight. I just was like, yeah, we're kicking ass in here. And we're a boss. I don't know. I just like, so.
I grew up being the guy in video games. Isn't that weird that we do that? But now I pick the girl. It just changed.
Well, no, it was just, I think it helped me express something that I wasn't able to express.
Perhaps.
If they were like, it would have been so interesting if I would have had a gay uncle or a gay cousin that was older, because then I probably would have seen certain things and been like, I like that. I also think it's why I loved, anime and like Japanese culture and Asian culture, because the men are very soft. Like they're displayed in a very soft way, and their gentleness, like there's things about being soft and cute and feminine that's not seen as not masculine. It's just like a part of the culture, and I like ate that up. I was like, I want to be that guy. He's so pretty.
Wow, I've never fucking seen it that way.
Yeah.
That is such an interesting perspective.
I was like,
it's more awesome. You think it's more of an American culture thing?
I think I think in some ways. Because you look at like, those K-pop boys are gorgeous.
And they like fucking dance. And
they still have the makeup and everything. And they're still like doing their thing. But I'm like, they're so pretty. Mm-hmm. And it has nothing to do with the sexuality. They just like pretty.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
like
okay.
you can actually call that boy pretty without it being like.
Yeah, they like love it. Like, I don't know. At least it seems like it. But when I was growing up, and I'm also from Texas, so yeah, that wasn't gonna work. That wasn't gonna work.
How was Texas? I have this stigma with Texas, to be honest.
I actually love it in the sense of like the manners and the kindness. Like
Southern hospitality. That's so
sweet.
I just went to visit family in North Carolina in December, a few weeks ago. And the Southern like just holding the door open for people. That
they're so nice. They're so nice.
Yeah.
And then not, but also like growing up in Texas, what's weird, okay.
It's more of a kindness to strangers.
Yeah. No, it's like a politeness to people you don't know, and I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. But also, I think I realized maybe this past year, I was like, I was gay, Black, and Christian in this like all white neighborhood, or predominantly white neighborhood. Like I was like, I just didn't like, I was able to assimilate, but there was so much conditioning culturally. It was just interesting, all that I am where I was. Like Texas just doesn't like, I wouldn't say it's like the best place to process the things I had to process. But for others who don't, I'm like, it's probably awesome.
Yeah, we're in Texas.
Dallas.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Oh, that's where I grew up. Okay. You were visiting because that's where you're from.
That's where
I missed that
like
part.
my immediate family is.
Was that, how was coming out? Was your family, how was that? How did that go?
So I identified as bisexual for a while.
Yeah.
And then when I got to my sophomore year of high school, my friend was like, bisexuals don't exist. So I was like, okay, yeah, so I'm a lesbian, right? Because
you were just like, fine.
Yeah, like I'm a lesbian. Like his logic, the way he was explaining it, made sense to me. Bisexuals don't exist. So I was like, okay, lesbian. I just have to pick a team at this point. Like, lesbian, right?
You're like, no one will believe me, so fine.
Yes.
I choose the latter.
And he basically almost dared me to just come out to my mom. And coming out to my dad, like, I didn't give a fuck. Like, I'll just wait for you to figure that out. Like, I didn't feel a need to. That's just kind of where my relationship was at with my dad.
Okay.
But with my mom, I've always sought her attention much more and sought after it. And I just wanted more of a connection relationship with my mom. So I give more of a fuck to tell her things.
That makes sense.
I went downstairs and I was just like, hey, Mom, like, the way you feel that girls are supposed to feel about boys, that's the way I feel about women. And there's like no response. It was kind of just she's an avoidant person, and I don't know if she. And it's not like she's not homophobic in anything I've ever seen, in any way that I've ever seen. So
yeah,
she kind of just like was like okay, and then just kept cutting what she was cutting and cooking dinner. You know, it was like no response at all. There was no positive or negativity. It was just
same.
Yeah, like
just kept moving.
Yeah, keep it pushing.
Yeah.
I just went back upstairs. Like it wasn't a big deal whatsoever. And then
was that hard, or were you?
I had to work myself up, but it was. If I look back on it, I would say it was an easy experience.
Okay.
Like, I would not say my coming out experience was hard.
Oh, okay. Great. That's awesome.
Yeah. So they're pretty whatever about it. And then I actually just had a conversation the other day of I asked the question of like, why do we have to come out, right? Like, why can't it just be a thing that is instead of having to do, like, straight people don't have to come out and be like, hey,
right,
Mom, I'm straight. You know, but then the person I was talking to, made a point of it's because they were so diminished for so long that you had to be out and proud about it, or something. It was something along those lines.
I could see that potentially. I think I don't know if it's coming out, but what I found myself trying to do a lot, because I don't know if I ever like came out. I think it was just like a gradual, I just told more people, because before I was just telling people it was a struggle of mine. So I was like, it'd be like, the big secret is I struggle with homosexuality, but I'm getting through it. And then it was like, hey,
as in like, I'm gonna come out the other end and be straight. Yeah.
And then because people already knew that it was a struggle of mine, it was more like, hey, I'm accepting this part of myself now. So, and some people were like, yay, and other people were like, okay, let us know how it goes and how you feel. And then other people were like, wrong choice, wrong move, buddy. And I was like, right. no, and I used to be you, and so I get it. No judgment, no hate at all. But so I didn't end up coming out, but what I found myself is like, I kept wanting to experiment with how I wanted to express myself. Like, I wish I could say, I thought I was going to come out like a butterfly. Like, I thought like I was going to come out, let people know, and then I was going to entirely change. But I was like, majority still me.
Like, I'm still the same
I was kind of bummed. I was like,
wait, so you thought you were going to have like this whole new life experience
I was like,
when you came out, and that you would be a different person?
I thought I was going to come with like a skill set. Like, I was like, I'm just going to jump into makeup and it's going to be easy. I'm just going to like, I thought I would be able to just do things that I have perceived being gay to be through how gay culture is portrayed, which is true. It's not that it's like wrong. It's just like, I always thought I was so feminine. But then now that I'm out, I'm like, the spectrum changed. So I'm a really feminine straight man, but as a gay man, I'm kind of just baseline. Do you know what I mean? Like, as a gay man, I'm right in the, like, it's just, I don't know. It was just interesting, the spectrum shift. Like, I thought all these things that I thought about myself were so different once I accepted myself. I was like, oh, I'm not into that the way I thought I would be, just because I thought everyone would be. Does that make any sense?
I'm kind of picking up what you're putting down.
Like, I was like, I just thought, I wish I had like I thought I would like come out and then immediately probably like jump into drag, which is so extreme.
Yeah.
But also,
because that's what we thought we almost had to be if we were gay.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I thought I had to be this like super masculine woman.
Right. And not only did like drag, I couldn't even do it if I wanted to.
Exactly.
That's so much work.
It's also another thing of like, I don't even want to be that way.
No, I was like, it's not even how it's like, I don't have the skill set. Like, it's not been something I've secretly worked on and hidden.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Because, the way like we perceive gay people, So, for example, there's a show, Everything Now, on Netflix. It's like recently came out, first season.
Okay.
I really like the show because these people, like the main character, like she's just who she is. Yeah, she's struggling with an eating disorder. But she ends up getting this crush on this girl. She's not like, never in the show is there like the word lesbian, bisexual, gay used.
That's sick.
She ends up dating like two girls in the show, and it's just so casually brought, like she's still herself. She doesn't feel like she has to change, and
that's awesome.
Like this lesbian relationship is just portrayed naturally. That's
really cool.
Like she has a crush on a boy in the beginning, but then she's like, wow, I actually like, she's like finds herself drawn to this girl, and it's just natural, and it just happened that way. And like they're not like super masculine, they're not super you know what I mean? Like, that's the beautiful thing of like, we don't have to fall into this like lesbian stereotype or this gay stereotype of like, maybe some gay men feel like they have to be more feminine or maybe overcompensate for femininity. Once they come out, it's like, if that's not you, you don't have to do that.
No. Yeah.
And with me, like, I've gone through this whole journey of like the way I want to express myself. Some people, you know, I've been misgendered like quite a few times. I used to work at this pizza place, actually a month ago at Sally Beauty. I was like, hey, I need like this bleach. Can you help me find it? And she called me a sir. Somewhere in there, she called me a sir. I was like,
whoa. Hey.
I was like, you're joking.
Hey.
You're joking.
No.
And then I used to work at a pizza place, and I mean, over the phone, like people were like, sir, thank you, sir. Or
I get that all the time. I do get every time on the phone, they're like, thank you, ma'am. And I'm like, look, drive through the worst. So like, thank you, miss. And I'm like, you're about to see for real. And how stupid are you gonna feel?
Yeah. And even like in person, like when I was delivering pizzas to their house, I'd say, thank you, sir. And it took me a while to even actually say like or correct them because I felt so embarrassed.
Oh, I'm
like,
sorry.
I'm really being perceived as a fucking boy right now.
You're like, I'm not even trying to.
Yeah.
Not even trying to.
And I did a podcast with somebody a while ago, and it was very open and honest conversation. And because he happened to be autistic and has no filter, and I greatly appreciated that.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
So he was like, did you cut your hair because you're a lesbian? I was like, no, I didn't. That wasn't my thought process. It really happened very impulsively. Like I didn't come out as a lesbian and be like, okay, now time to have short hair, you know?
There are certain things, and I'm still trying to figure this out, but coming out or realizing that you're gay and accepting it, whatever it is, for me, it put me into like a state of, it took me out of a box that I was used to being in, and then nothing's defined, and then you get to play in whatever way you want. Because I'm like, I don't need to be masculine in a way that would attract a woman. Then also though, in that, I was like, I actually can just choose. It gave me like an understanding of choice where that's like, I don't need to fit into anything. I can just kind of do what I want. So I see like cutting hair the same. Like the way that I relate to my gender after the fact is so different because it's not based off of what I thought. It's not based off of like the societal family, wife, and kids. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That makes sense though, that you just be like, I just wanted to cut my hair.
Yeah, like it was impulsive as like I couldn't get drugs that day and I wanted to feel something. So I buzzed my best friends, me and my best friend, we buzzed our hair off together. It was just like impulsive and stupid. Like I was going through withdrawal. Like it was that simple. It wasn't like, and also I have hair crisis a lot.
Oh,
like I recently just decided I think I'm gonna grow it out.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. But mainly my intention with that is to have a better relationship with my hair. I'm always bleaching it, dyeing it, coloring it. Like I just feel like I don't love my hair texture and I always want to change it.
Oh.
So it's like I'm trying to own what my hair really is.
I get that.
Yeah. That's the process I'm going through right now.
I'm in the same. She's in braids, but the braids are bad, so she's in a do-rag. They're overgrown.
Yeah.
They're overgrown.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
No, that'll be cool.
But if I decide like, hey, I don't want to grow it out anymore, I'll just cut it back. Like it's not the end of the world.
So when people ask about your sexuality now, what do you say?
Or
do they ask? How does it go?
So my thing is like kind of like what I was like prefacing to before is I don't feel the need to have that conversation.
Right.
And I don't know if that's because I'm ashamed of it or maybe because I don't know. Or maybe because I don't want to be perceived in a certain way. But I usually just go to like lesbian. I usually just say lesbian because I remember when I first figured out I was interested in women, I hated the word lesbian so much. Like the lesbian, it just sounded ugly. And I was like, like the fact that it even just sounded ugly to me is mind blowing. Like it sounded disgusting. Lesbian, ew. So it's like I'm bisexual because I have had attraction to men before.
Right.
And
right.
sometimes I do today.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, wow, like it's a little more than just like you look good, you know? But then that's when it gets confusing because I think sexuality is so fluid, and then we, our egos, just want to put it in a box.
I think so. I actually really
and
agree.
I say that a lot. Like we want to put our sexuality in a box. Sexuality is fluid because from my experience, it is.
That makes sense.
Right. So but today I just say I'm a lesbian because I really feel the most comfortable with women, and ideally, kind of low key what I said earlier. I just pick a team.
You were like, I'm gonna choose this one. No one's asking, but I'm gonna choose this side.
But I also don't want to make it seem like I'm choosing to be a lesbian.
No.
You know, and
I get that.
I don't want it to be perceived that way, but it's just like I really feel the most comfortable with women sexually. I have been only satisfied with women.
Yeah.
And with men, I can only go to a certain extent. And then I'm done. I'm like, get away from me. Like,
that makes sense.
With men, I'm just like, I got the ick so quick, and it's like I'm done.
That makes sense.
But I've had relationships with men before where it's like, you're so sweet, and like we would probably be in a great relationship together. And I tried it like early in sobriety, like I experimented with men because I was like, maybe I do like them, like, yeah. But it just didn't feel right. I don't know if it was me or that. Maybe it just wouldn't have worked or what it was. That's why it's so confusing for me because I do like men, but only so much.
No, I get that. With women, what's really weird, and I haven't figured it out at all, but like emotionally, romantically, the emotion was real. Like if I liked a girl emotionally, it was real. Like I don't know how else to put it because now that I've like, well, it was real, but only went so far. But it went way further than like the physical, of course, for me. But with other men, it's still similar, just not as intense because with men, the emotional's there and the physical adds to that emotional just in a greater way because I can get in my feelings if I'm physical. But that like it hitting a certain extent because I remember also being like, what was all the girls that I liked because I wasn't making it up. I remember being confused about that where I was
like I had genuine crushes.
Yeah, I was guys. Like I wasn't just like saying that for shits and giggles.
That's why I was like, for sure I'm bisexual, you know? And then that's when like that time in high school where I was like, no, I'm a lesbian.
Makes sense.
It was so weird. And then I could only this is such like a TMI podcast.
I know, and I kind of love it.
Because I was only able to have sex with men under the influence. I could not do it sober.
Yeah.
That's been my experience to this day.
Okay.
Can't do it. Like, no.
That makes sense.
Only under the influence. Sober women, like there's no doubt in my mind that I love women and that I am attracted to women. Emotionally, physically, everything.
The whole thing.
But it's just with men, that's when it gets weird. It's like, you know, that's why I just say I'm a lesbian because I know for sure.
Yeah, you're like, this one's clear as day and this one is murky.
But even sometimes to this day, I do still feel maybe guilty about being gay or like just not super confident about it.
You know, here's what's tough. There is a gay shame is what I'm going to call it.
Okay.
And I would say there's also like a gay trauma. And with any kind of trauma or shame, like it just doesn't go away overnight. Like there's a process to me of healing through anything. And when you have a certain mindset for a long period of time, to me, it becomes a condition. That is how you're conditioned to think. And just because you have a breakthrough of realization of maybe you need to change your life or you want to do something differently, that doesn't mean you broke your conditioning. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, yeah, like I'm curious to see, honestly, now for both of us, like in 10 years, what being gay or queer looks like. Because the conditioning will be less and less and less, and we'll have a new condition. But like, I think that just makes sense to me.
Yeah, and even we'll have more experiences with people and relationships.
And more clarity, I hope.
Yeah. Like I have this idea in my head that I doubt lesbian relationships can even work.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, it doesn't seem like it's a thing that actually works.
Okay, I'll say my fear.
Okay.
I like this. My fear and hesitancy is like raising a family. Because I don't know. I'm like, my biggest fear, like, and I know people are like, you can probably just read a book. And I'd be like, sure. I'd be like, absolutely. One thing at a time for me, maybe. But it's a kid, like, I would want my kid to have a mom. Do you know what I mean? And so I don't know. And I'm like, yes, 2 dads, awesome. And I could meet another kid who's raised by 2 dads and he'd be like, I would never change anything. And I'm like, of course you wouldn't. You love your dads, but I know what it feels like to have a mom. And I'm such a mama's boy. It's hard for me not to.
I hear everything you're saying.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
Because I agree that, like, even if there needs to be like a maternal and like, is that the right word? There needs to be like a mother and a father figure, I think, in every household. I think it's just very important. It's natural. Yeah. It's our instincts. You know, it comes down to like a mom and a dad, you know, like both the feminine and the masculine, they do work well together. I know. And I think that is very important. But I feel like with 2 dads in the house or 2 moms in the house, there just needs to be somebody close and tight knit in that child's life. Because I think it can work. I understand your fear, but
yeah, no, I think there's probably people who've done it so successfully, but my fear is, yeah, to be able to pull it off. Like I'm like, because to me, and I don't know.
Well, just know if you ever have kids, with a man, I will be the feminine figure, womanly figure in their life. Thank you, because I get that.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's so sweet. That's so sweet. I do think men and women are different. So they offer different things. Yeah. Not like in an equality way. I'm like, no, everyone's the same. But I'm like, but.
Just like energetic.
Yeah, but I was like, but we're not we are technically different. Like, I'm like, we're not, yeah.
We're literally built different. Like, we have different skulls, different lifespan.
No, I was like, our bodies are truly different. Like, they're just different. I'm like, I'm not even saying anything crazy. I'm just like, yeah. So with that, I'm like, you get different things potentially, but I also perceive life as experimental. So I'm like, I think it'll be figured out and balanced, and I'll probably learn more and be less ignorant in the future, and then I'll really know. But it's just a fear right now. Yeah,
for sure. Like my best friend growing up had 2 moms. Just happened to happen. Perfect. And all 3 of their sons were gay. And I found that interesting.
Yes, and I saw that happen too a lot.
It's like, does the nurture affect
versus nature,
affect sexuality? So that's when it's like, ooh, maybe our environment growing up really does have an effect on our sexuality.
I know, I thought about that too.
Or our trauma or our experiences. Maybe there's research on this I'm not aware of. But I'm just like putting that out there.
Well, no, but then they have twins, because I did look into it a little bit. But there's twins who were one's straight and one's gay. But technically they have the same DNA and they grew up in the same household. So it's an interest, like there's.
But even then, growing up in the same household, they have different life experiences and meet different people.
That's so true.
So it's like, yeah, but what if?
Also, yeah. Yeah, but yeah. No, true. No, exactly. True. I know. And I'm the type of person too where like, as a whole, kids, people, anyone, I just want what's best kind of idea. So I'm always like open to, I don't want to say like receiving critique, but like you can like when things get political or whatever it is, I don't shy away from being wrong. Like I'm open to being like,
oh, I learned something.
Yeah. Be like, I don't think that things should be done that way. And I'm like, okay, why? And if it makes sense to me, I'm like, just because I like it done this way, if it's not right or it's not helpful or healthy, I'll stop. So this is a long way of saying I really just want a healthy family. Yeah. I just want a healthy family.
Yeah, I get it. You really want kids? That's a thing of yours?
Well, I did. I don't know now.
Really, why?
The same reason.
Oh.
That and like
wait, so
also finding a man. I'm like, girl.
okay, so your sexuality. I feel like we've talked a lot about mine.
Okay.
You said, I forget how you answer. I think that was the first thing I asked you was like, how do you, if people ask you what your sexuality is, what do you say?
I do say gay. I'm like, I'm gay. But
why is that? And then why are you confused? Like, where's your confusion coming from in terms of your sexuality?
I think because it's
And like, you see yourself having a family with a man.
maybe. Maybe.
But I think you had a similar experience to like as me, where it's like you can't just go all the way with women.
No, and I can't. But there's been times where with a woman I'm like, my goodness, and it's not just like, but it's weird because it's like I don't even know that it would like. I think there's too much going on with me that I would be able to like do a relationship with a woman, and I can never actually get there. But I also used to think part of the reason I couldn't get there with a woman is because I was afraid I couldn't. If that makes any sense. Because I was so afraid of being gay. Like I never tried this is once coming out, I was more masculine than I thought I was. Once coming out, I was a little more attracted to women than I thought I was. Because I was afraid of, with any physical intimacy with women, I always was thinking about what I should be feeling instead of being present and feeling. And because I was so afraid, I never even got close to that because I didn't want to get there and it be for sure that I can't do it. Does that make sense? But now I have this like confidence where I don't really care.
Oh, so there was comfort in the insecurity almost.
Yeah, I was like,
the insecurity.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I'll never touch it because I'm so afraid that if I do, I'll know for sure I'm gay. But now that I'm gay, I'm like, I don't know, we could fuck around and find out.
Right?
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Cause I think maybe part of me is also afraid that maybe I do like could be in a long term.
If that's true, you're like, well, what does that mean? What was this whole like? I'd be like, come on, dude. If I like went all the way and I'm like, I'm gay, and then I was like, actually,
right?
And then people would be like,
but
yeah.
Then I also kind of, this is my personal opinion that I'm putting on the platform, but it's not correct and it's neither wrong.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of making your sexuality your identity.
100%.
And I see it a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. It slightly gets on my nerves.
I think I perceive that, no offense to anyone, but I think a lot of that has to do with trauma. Like, I just think, like, anytime you staple something so hard, when you choose to put yourself kind of into a box, I think it's a protective mechanism.
I can see that.
It, like, becomes your shield. Because I think for me, like, your faith is your identity. Like, that makes sense. Like, you're like, I'm a child of God. But my faith was my identity in, like, a outside, like, now looking in, I'm like, it was really me also wanting to protect myself. Like, I wanted to fully fit into that box of what I understood and perceived a Christian to be, because I was like, if I can, then I will be safe because I will be right.
Yeah.
So to be like, I'm gay and I'm as gay as I can be in this, and to do it in the way that feels so on brand, you're like, I'm right in something. Mm-hmm. When you don't know and you're not defined and you're not in a box, there's always that feeling of like potentially being wrong, or I don't know. Yeah. But I truly get it.
So you said you do still identify as a Christian.
Yes. Yeah.
There are a lot of Christians that welcome the gay community. They're like, there's no issue with that. Mm-hmm. But isn't it against their text that they?
Yeah. Here's the thing,
so
though.
It's like,
no, but also it is, and it's okay.
Yeah, I'm confused.
No, and it makes sense. So one of the things that was like, when I was doing my deep dive, there were so many things that I discovered when it comes to theology and the different like theologians and what people believe. But one of them, when people were going across the text of what it talked about, a man laying with another man, woman laying with another woman, is they were talking about, they were like, when you really understand and you go into the Greek and the Hebrew and you break it down, they're talking about a child prostitute.
I've heard that too. Like,
right.
It's a mistranslation.
This is boop. But here's my thing in general is I perceive language to be language of any kind, today's language, it's contextual. Language only makes sense in context. That's how it works. You don't know a metaphor is a metaphor unless you understand the context. Like, I don't know. That's just how it goes. And there are parts of the Bible that are metaphors. There are parts that aren't. But to believe that you can understand every context outside of the context, to me, is a reach. I'm not going to say much more. And then I also was listening to this theologian talk about how he was talking about like Jews before didn't actually believe in hell. Like hell wasn't a place, which I just found fascinating in general.
I believe that personally.
No, it was, and when he broke it down though, and I like listened to all the people that I perceived to have done the research. I didn't take it in well enough that I'm able to like re-articulate it well. But when he broke it down, he just talked about like, he kind of talked about heaven and hell almost as a state of being that you can touch and reach. And I was like, that makes complete sense to me. And when he broke down some of the other context, it made sense to me. And all of that did to me was revealed like, I just have to trust what I understand in the present moment. Because also what I found interesting about Christian faith and faith in general is it's evolved. I was like, all throughout the Bible, faith is constantly evolving, which then I was like, would make it would be interesting for it not to continue to do so. Because I'm like, there was no commandments. Then there were 12. Okay, cool. We built from the commandments. Then we actually said, done with commandments. Christ is here. Like, I'm like, there's literal evolution.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why would it stop? Especially if God is still like alive and active. Because I'm like, we evolve and grow in love, which changes us. And then we readapt to the new changes. I'm like, that's growth. So
there's a lot there.
Yeah. So it is confusing, but I think I now believe that no one actually fully knows what they're talking about all the way. They're all just like saying their greatest hypothesis. And I'm like, that's a really good one. And if it adds up in this present moment, I will sure take it on. Yeah.
I dig that. I personally believe.
Break it down.
I'm not going to go to hell. Simple as that. I don't think.
You said.
I don't know.
Oh, that's so funny.
There's plenty of ways you can look at it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure people who are doing actual bad things don't feel like they're doing something bad. And like, what if that's the way with homosexuality? Like, I don't feel like it's bad because it feels true and right to me, but it's actually something bad. You could look at it that way.
Yeah.
Or it could just be like, this is literally what my body is is drawn to.
I know.
And that's my truth. And how could there be anything wrong with
that? Me,
because God made everything to be perfect. Like, we're perfect.
Yeah.
Just the way we are. So that's a whole fucking thing.
No, I love you. Said, I don't think I'm going to hell. But I also like, I had this thought with like, because for me, I'm like, I truly feel like I have a relationship with what I believe to be God, right? And in that, I was like, with anything or anyone, I don't want a relationship based out of fear.
Ooh,
like, I don't want to
fucking real.
I don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to love you because I don't want to go to hell. I'm like, that's not love to me. If someone was so like, real. I'd be like, no, I would want you to love me because you love me. And I'm like, and if I love you and I'm in a relationship with you, that will change me because that's what I think love does. So I'm like, that's like, for me, I'm like, that's like besides the point. I'm like, wrong move, buddy.
Yeah. So to backtrack just a little bit.
Yeah.
Before the God thing.
Yes.
I said, I'm not digging making our sexuality or identity.
Yeah.
And then you were like, I also don't want to be put in a box because what if my sexuality changes? And I feel like that's almost the point of why put it in a box if it could change and it's fluid. And so we shouldn't be ashamed for saying it. And maybe that's also my point of not being so out loud and proud about it. Like, sure, I'll go to fucking gay pride. It's fun.
Yeah.
But maybe because there's all this uncertainty surrounding it.
This is my hypothesis.
Okay.
I'm just about to say like something I've just been thinking about, really.
On the cash.
Yeah, I'm like, this is truly, I've only kept this to myself, but it's like a deep opinion,
really?
I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm about to try to sound so like scientific and I have no idea what I'm talking about. But I do think there are bases in evolution. And I think having a box is the first step. And then you need a box, actually. You need boundaries so that you can understand where to build. And then when you grow, you can release yourself from the box.
Wow.
So like, I think identifying and like creating an identity, it's because you don't even, it was so cool. Some guy was saying it, and it was some scientific podcast, and he was just talking about the difference between like structure and chaos and whatever else in art. But he was talking about like babies and how they're taking everything in, and then they slowly start to create like definition to things and build. And I was like, and that definition is like important. But then when you want to like come back into a state of wonder, I guess, you like release whatever you define things to be. So that was my way of saying, like, I feel like I do think there's a time to identify, potentially, so that you can understand what it means to you. You're like, oh, okay, I'm gay, and what does that mean to me? What does that look like to me? And then you build that, and then you're like, okay, I don't need that blanket anymore. Wow. I have an understanding. I can kind of let it go, but I found some security.
I fucking dig that.
Okay.
A lot. Like, I get down. It made so much sense.
Oh, good.
It felt like real.
Oh, good.
Like true.
Good.
In like my core.
No, I thought about it a lot. Like, I really have thought about it quite deeply by myself.
I'm so glad you shared this for the first time. What's the name of this theory hypothesis?
I have no idea. Evolution? I don't know. Base evolution? And like
Myles evolution.
Myles evolution. But I'm like, other people were talking about how
M-E.
M-E.
Myles evolution. Me, it's me.
You start with the base. you start with the base. Because that's how music works. Like, you learn the basics of music, and then you like can play.
The typical structure of a
yes,
song.
you need it, and then you break it. Like, that's the whole fun. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm like, with anything you learn, you have to learn. But if you stay based off of just like the fundamentals, you could grow a lot, but then you'll also like stifle your own growth, because at some point you have to like let that go so you can move into the next.
Yeah.
I look for. Hey girl, I look for there was this book called Nature's Numbers, and it was so good, and it basically talked about like themes that are all throughout nature, and it talked about math, but it taught me that there are universal truths that you can just observe. Like, there are fundamental ways things work, and they work in every category, and one of it to me is that like base evolution. I dig it.
I think the moral of this whole thing is we don't know. We don't know our sexuality, and that is okay.
Yeah.
And we don't have to be in a box, and it's okay to be on this journey, but it's just we feel the need to know. We feel the need. I feel that need. I'm like, I need to know if I'm attracted to men. I need to know, like, I need to have this experience. Like, I'm gonna go out and get laid right now just so I know.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why the fuck do we do that?
Like, also, if we can be afraid of missing out, though, because you're like, if I don't know.
Crazy FOMO.
No, yeah, that was my thing. I was like, what if the thing I very want, like, is that behind my fear, and if I'm missing out, yeah.
And fuck the stigma on fucking being gay, in my opinion.
Yeah. Fuck the stigma all the way around. I'm like, it doesn't look like. Because I'm like, sometimes I'm like, it's so crazy that even gay people will put themselves and others in a box, and then people who aren't gay will put gay people in a box. I'm like, we're all doing it. And then we're all like, stop.
And they're all, exactly.
We're all like, stop.
That's one of my fucking main goals.
I'm like, just stop.
With this is just putting everybody's opinions out here. I've had people that I've had guests where if I had them across the table from each other, this would be
I'm sure.
A rink, a boxing rink, because it's just, they're so opposite.
Yeah.
And I love that I get a taste of both views.
No, well, okay. So someone can be like so wrong in one way, but still have really good points.
That's what I've seen. And I'm like, wow, you have great points.
I'm like, I don't really believe what you believe as a whole. But what you said just then, really good.
And also, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But nobody should like have be mistreated differently for it, you know? But then there's also certain things where it's like, I stand strong and firm. Most things I'm like, I can lean either way.
Mm-mm.
But like, for example, like with mental health, like nobody should be fucking discriminated on their mental health issues. Things like
Right.
that. Like that's
Yeah.
just a fucking, don't fuck around with that one.
Right.
But with like other things, I'm like, okay, I'm open to hearing what's going on.
Have you had someone say something where you were like, I'm gonna try not to get pissed?
No, actually.
That's
I've never had like
awesome.
an angry moment.
That's
on
so
here.
good. Where you're like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, sometimes if I'm like, whoa, mind blown, or like, whoa, I've never heard that before, or that's kind of offensive, I kind of just almost don't have a response because I'm pondering.
You're like, huh?
Hmm.
Did you just slander me? That's so weird. That's so odd, huh? Not what I expected.
Literally.
Yeah, called me out by my name.
Well, what was your overall experience on your first podcast?
This was awesome. I had a great time. I'm looking at all cameras. No, this is really good. I also, it's so funny saying thoughts as they're coming. I'm like, that's what that was.
Okay, what is it?
Oh no, just like every thought that I had.
Oh,
Literally every thought I shared, I was like, these have no rehearsal. There's no practice to these.
I'm learning how to do that.
I was like, whoa.
I'm trying to like fix my stuttering thing, and it's just think before you speak.
Well, sometimes I was like, where am I going? And I was like, I've already started.
That's a whole nother thing of like, where are these? Sometimes you're speaking without thinking, and it's like, who is talking? Because it's not me. You know what I mean?
No, I was saying some stuff, and I was like, I need to stop because I don't know where this train's going, and I'm filling space. I gotta take it back.
Do you understand? I need to make sure I'm not alone in this feeling.
I do know what you're talking
Because
about.
it's like, who the fuck is talking? Because this isn't being, it's not being rehearsed in my head.
Right.
Like, who is controlling these words coming out of my mouth? I get spooked thinking about it.
I hope there's a class. I hope there's a book. Consciousness, relation to other consciousness in here, I find fascinating. Because how am I having a conversation with myself? What does that mean?
Because I've heard we're just the awareness, and that's your ego.
And I've heard that too, but I'm like, who is ego? And who is awareness?
And I've heard the awareness is actually your soul.
And ego is, did they say what ego was?
It's literally just a thing of the human body.
Like I'm like, because it's not tangible. I'm like,
it's not.
I'm like, no, what does ego look like? Who is he?
Neither is God.
I know.
And that's why it's so hard for some people to wrap their heads around God, because it's like, where the fuck is this guy?
No, but I'm like, we're in here, and you know this is wild. Like, what's going on in here? Awareness and ego, which I do love.
The fact that we can even speak, I'm having like this,
it's
honestly,
insane.
existential crisis right now, because the fact that I'm even like communicating to you is really insane.
No, it's wild. And you don't know where you're going, but yeah, no, I think it's so cool. Like, I wish there was this, I'm like, are we studying consciousness? Are we? And there are probably people that are. But I'm like, I really want to know what the hell's going on.
We can do some research together.
Yeah, because I was like, I love awareness and ego. And ego's of the body. And awareness is the soul. Because I'm like, then what happened to the brain? Like, I'm like, but brain.
Brain, what's in there?
Brain. And then they talk about your body being like, your body has consciousness. Because your body holds on to stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, how fun.
Trauma.
Yeah. I actually like, and this is so weird, and I hope someone knows what this is, or you're going to think I'm crazy, and they might both be true. In just like coming out and other stuff, I've just healed as a person.
Yeah.
But in healing, I'm more connected to my left arm.
Are you being serious?
I'm not even joking.
How? How does that feel?
Like, I'm more consciously aware of my left hand.
Oh.
Like, it was almost like, let's say, like, you know how you do things unconsciously?
Yeah.
I have more awareness
of your left
of
hand.
Literally the left side of my body. Like, let's say me not being gay, I'm like cutting off part of myself. So me accepting myself more is in connection. I don't know, but I just know, like, physically I'm more connected all the way through, which I found so fascinating.
That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, some people might be like, you're crazy, but I'm like, I really do feel more connected,
Wow.
aware.
I dig that.
Yeah.
I really do.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Myles,
Of
for
course.
coming on the Fuck the Stigma podcast.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.